This is the amazing story of a man who lived in this house and died in this house. He was my great uncle Eddie. He was born in the early 1900s, I think like 1901. He was the second of 9 kids. And for those of you who don't know, I am in my great grandparents' house. Amazing story of how my family had this house for 90 years. We lost it for 20 and I bought it back. And so the past couple of years, I've just been reminiscing and sort of finding all of our family archives, and amazing things have happened. We found all kinds of things in this house that had belonged to our relatives, even though somebody else had lived here for 20 years. Today, it was amazing. So I'm going to show you what I found. But first, I want to kind of tell you the little story of Eddie Zopp, or Edward Zopp. Eddie was the second of 9 children. My grandmother was the third. And he lived in this house his entire life. Unfortunately, he died relatively early at the age of 60 something, but he loved taking pictures. From the time that he was little, there was a dark room in this house in the basement, which I'll show you, where the kids would develop film. So they would take pictures. We have a picture of him when he was a kid where he did a side-by-side where he was trying to do all of these experiments with photography. I am going to show you the dark room. One of the most surprising things that we found when we came back is this. It's a wine cellar, but it was also a dark room. They filmed stuff, they developed stuff back there. I don't really want to go back there because there's spiders and stuff. I'm gonna change that light. Okay, so anyhow, I'm not going back there. It's a little weird, scary. Sorry, but if you look at this door, it says, do not enter when the light's on. So they had like a red light up there. Dark room. And then you see Aesop, which was Eddie, Emil, and Ella. Okay, Ella was my grandmother. Come over here, some of the stuff we found. Look, this ink thing. See how that says photography over there? The basement's fascinating, by the way, in case, for some of you who haven't seen it. We just left it as is. This was Eddie's brother, Emil's, basement workbench. And everything's preserved, it's pretty amazing. Here's like an old political poster that they had down here. Refrigerator. They would have beer and stuff over here. So that's the workbench. It's just so cool. Look, Zopf. Those are old stickers. This is a picture of Kent, Red, and Marie. And we found this when we ended up coming back into the house, and we weren't even in the house for 20 years. And so what a blessing to find my great aunt, my second cousin, and my uncle. She was my grandmother's sister, and we loved him and him. He was a fireman. He was part of, I think, maybe the Elks Club, and an accountant. He ended up dying in 1963 at the age of, I think it was 62. Upstairs, I'll show you the room. The staircase is amazing, but we have to fix it. So he had a bedroom up here. There was a wall here, and this sitting room that we all loved so much was his bedroom. So he just kind of came up here one night. There was a bed here, and he never woke up. So he just died up here. So after he passed away, they cleaned up everything. They cleared everything up. When they sold the house, years later, 40 years after that, I guess they got rid of some things. Okay, so I have this neighbor who's the salt of the earth guy. His name's Skip. He's just a great guy, and he knew my family. He didn't know Eddie, but he knew my family, and apparently somebody gave him this stuff, or maybe he bought it at the auction because my mother was so overwhelmed, she just basically sold everything. He shows up and gives me this stuff.
Some stuff that I found.
Oh my gosh.
Going through some old dressers upstairs.
Wow, that was from Eddie?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a flash,
for your camera.
For taking photos.
Yeah, that must have been Eddie.
And
my gosh.
and there's some of these here that go with the development of it, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
Little,
Well, he was ahead of his time. He was taking pictures of himself doing like these selfies way before.
And then these things got film containers.
Oh, they're film containers? Is
Yeah.
there any film in there?
I don't really
You
know.
don't-
There's
Whoa.
some of them have labels on them.
Oh my gosh! Arlington, Mass. I don't know.
But
Wow.
and there's one.
Look, oh my
That would
gosh.
be nice to have in.
This is so
Very
exciting.
nice.
Yeah, so I mean,
Thank you. Remember, Eddie was a photographer. This all belonged to Eddie. It's an Eastman spreader cartridge film pistol. It looks like this. It's not a gun. It's for photography. I don't know what it does really, except that it's interesting. So he gives me this, and then just some old, really old, I think these are like developing cartridges. For those of you who are into photography, you can tell me. But now, as if we don't have archives enough, because this family has been photographed since the early 1900s, and you'll see, I have 2 canisters of film. I'm not sure if they were ever developed. Okay, this is interesting. This was labeled, he died, I think, in February of 63, 2 months before he died. That belonged to Edward Zopf. His name is on this. I may have hit the mother lode. It may be nothing. It may be just empty canisters, but I don't know where to go. I've got to find somebody who can actually just develop this type of film without destroying it. 2 of these. Y'all, we bought the house. We sold the house. Family had been in the house for 90 years. The house was sold in 2000. My mother had to sell it. She was the niece. The only one kind of around to sell it. Family was pretty much devastated that it was sold, but it had to be sold to take care of people. Another great aunt and uncle who were in nursing homes and passed away, and they had all this stuff to pay off. I come back to the house. We end up buying the house. Even though somebody had lived in it for 20 years, we find all this stuff. And then the stuff keeps coming back to us. So it's super exciting. I know that this channel and my vlogs are supposed to be me renovating the house, but I keep getting sidetracked with these amazing stories. Plus, I need the finances. I don't have the funds yet to redo all the floors and stuff. It's just, I want to be able to share these stories. So guys, please do subscribe to Hot for History and this vlog that I'm doing regarding this house. I will keep you updated regarding this photography, but in the meantime, take a peek at all of the amazing pictures that we do have that I believe Eddie had taken. We have amazing pictures in this family, and he's almost always behind the camera from the time he was a child. Any of you know what I can do to get that film developed carefully, because some of it's from 1956, some of it might be older, and I don't know what's on it, and it needs to be done right. And so I need somebody who has a darkroom that is experienced in developing old film that may have an expiration date on it, but may have photos on it. So I believe I need a darkroom.